Welcome to Exceptional Leadership. I'm your host, Anita Brooks. Though my focus is primarily pointed to leadership at an organizational level, let me assure you, most of what I share will translate to almost any aspect of life. Just tweak the info to fit your leadership role. Because whether you approach my content as a corporate leader, middle manager, small business owner, entrepreneur, or as a family member or friend, you are influencing someone. The question is, are you influencing well, exceptionally well? So let's take courage, exercise wisdom, and humbly invest in the people we are called to influence. Join me on a quest, not for perfection, but absolutely for exceptional leadership. Today, I want to talk to you about something that comes up more and more frequently in my P4 power coaching practice. And that is the impact of personal branding or professionalism. And you can just equate that to your reputation. You see, your personal brand is the image you project, and it's built around your thoughts, attitudes, words, and actions. Your brand determines how others see you, and you wear your personal brand at all times, in all instances, with all people, including, but not limited to, your professional settings. Over time, your reputation shapes how others expect you to behave and respond. It helps employers determine if you're a good fit for their organization, and customers or clients decide if they want to do business with you. Your personality plays a huge role in your day-to-day contact with others and how you handle issues. Understanding how you and others are wired can help you capitalize on your strengths and work on your weaknesses. And remember, what you say and post and how you act helps people decide whether to offer you opportunities or give them to others. Something else I like to remind people of is you'll never change your life unless you change your daily actions. And one thing that I remind a lot of folks of is that your personal branding is kind of like a marriage. You think about it. A lot of times when a bride, especially, I'm going to say, is contemplating and thinking about her wedding day, like she'll make this common mistake. Well, she and the groom both will. They'll put weeks and months and sometimes even years into planning the wedding, taking into account the proper clothing, the right accessories, the exact location, and special people to share the experience with, as well as the financial costs. However, most couples miss a massively crucial element, and it's this. While the bride and groom are occupied with planning the upcoming wedding ceremony and subsequent festivities, few of them place adequate emphasis on preparing for the longer term. A man and wife will spend hours exchanging their vows and celebrating afterward, but hopefully they'll spend years together living out the reality of those vows. Yet success and happiness depend on how prepared they are for the actual marriage, even more so than the wedding ceremony. And so it goes with your brand. Many people consider personal branding as a pre-employment emphasis or focus they should have, but they fail to consider their personal branding after they've settled into the job. And so sometimes they get lazy or sloppy with their brand. So I just want to encourage you and maybe for you as an exceptional leader to encourage your people not to make that mistake. So there's 3 top traits that actually help form your professional brand or your reputation. And one of them is timeliness. Showing up for work on time or even early is a key for positive professional branding. It shows upper management and others that you care and that you're consistent and that you're reliable. If you're having issues with some of your people that they are not timely, if they're not reliable, maybe this is an area where you could do some training. And I know leaders, a lot of times we tell ourselves, I shouldn't have to do that. I mean, my goodness, that's just like a basic common good manners thing that we show up on time. I mean, for crying out loud, they accepted the job. They should know the expectation. But guess what? The world is a-changing. Social structures and social expectations from employees It's just, to me, it's insane, but it's reality. The things that are such basic skills and ethics are not being taught in the homes. They're not being taught in our school systems, our colleges and universities. And so, yeah, we get them and they're maybe book smart, but these people often don't understand the value, the importance of showing up on time. And they certainly don't connect that to their own personal brand. So training about timeliness might be something that's good for you to work on. Another area is teachability. Being teachable in the workplace proves you have an attitude of learning, observing, listening, and asking for help when needed. Knowing you're teachable and you can see things from others' perspectives is a very valuable trait in organizational settings. And again, if you have some of the people that you're leading and they don't seem to be very teachable, this is an area that maybe you can mentor them, coach them, and have some one-on-one sessions and talk to them not just about what your expectations are, but why they matter. You might think that they should have learned that someplace else, but if they're not exhibiting teachable traits, that is an area that you as a leader can help fill in the gaps for. And the third is professionalism. Professionalism is our personal brand. Maintaining professional dignity is extremely appreciated in any work environment. This means you don't act out. You remain calm during difficult situations. You stay out of workplace gossip. You get your job done while encouraging others. You provide motivation and you energize and actually participate in improving employee morale. Those are just some of the variables that equate to professionalism. And if your folks aren't acting very professional, then, and this is going to be a hard one for some of you to swallow, but first thing is maybe you want to look in the mirror, because sometimes our employees are mimicking what they see in the top most leadership positions. But the other side of it is they may not have been taught simple, basic, professional expectations. They may not understand even what professionalism is. It's interesting how many times people think they know what a word means, but until there's a conversation about it, they discover that maybe they really weren't as in tune as they thought. And so there's an opportunity for you to reach them and teach them and train them. Another thing about personal branding that folks often are not keyed into today is that their personal brand is impacted by what they do on social media. And if you're in a leadership position, or maybe I'm thinking like HR in particular, and you know that sometimes you're looking at social media profiles to determine whether or not someone's a good fit for you. What we portray on social media definitely parlays into our personal brand, how other people see us. So we need to guard against social media posts that could hurt our brand. We don't want to make foolish statements or post reckless images that could cost us a job or promotion or project assignment or even a raise. One single inappropriate post could create a lasting negative impact. So we all need to choose our words, pictures, and videos wisely. And leader, this isn't just for your people. This is for you too. You're not above that. I've actually, in my coaching practice, seen leaders who were let go because of a single social media misstep. Don't let that be you. Just remember, someone is always watching. So make sure that what you post aligns with the professional personal brand that you want to portray. Your very future may depend on it. And here's a big one. Think about the promises that you make. One of my favorite statements is that it's better not to make a promise than to make one and break it. And so people have a reasonable expectation if we tell them we're going to do something, that we're going to keep our word and we're going to follow through. And so whether you use the word promise or not, if you told someone that you're going to do something, essentially that's what you've done. I mean, at least from a professional standpoint. One of the most crucial elements to your reputation is whether or not you are a person of your word. Remember, again, it is better not to make a promise than to make one and break it. So if you tell someone you're going to do something, whether you use that word promise or not, then follow through. People believe you, and they believe that you'll do what you say. So if you say you agree to be somewhere at a specific time, arrive at least 5 minutes early, but never 5 minutes late, or you'll develop a reputation or personal brand for being unreliable. If you volunteer or accept a project or task, turn it in before the deadline, not after, or your personal brand says you can't be counted on. Daily habits determine our future opportunities. An exceptional personal brand reflects a trusted person because others know you're a man or a woman of your word. You follow through on your commitments. And if an emergency arises, you communicate early and often so others aren't left dangling, wondering or assuming where you are and why you're ghosting. Don't leave people guessing about your reliability, and then watch your reputation soar. One of the areas that I focus on in my coaching when I'm teaching on personal branding is just thinking about the 5 senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Think about those first impressions that we make, but also think about the daily ongoing impressions that we keep. People do unfortunately judge us by what they see, and that's why first impressions are so important. We can complain that our looks shouldn't matter, but frankly, reactions to what we present is a daily reality for most of us. So this brings us to a choice. We can argue and debate about whether impressions make a difference, or we can work within our reality and take steps that will help others see what we truly have to offer. And think about it. Did you know that what you wear affects your performance in the workplace? It's been shown that if people dress appropriately for their job and they look the part, they're more likely to feel the part and have a greater drive and motivation to focus on their daily work. How others see you is important when dealing with professionalism. When you dress professionally in alignment with your job and industry, you show yourself and your peers that you understand you are a reflection of your business and organization, and you want to represent exceptionally well. Keys for dressing for success. And oh my gosh, again, I know it is so crazy, but more and more, even just like simple hygienic issues are coming into play. Like literally, sometimes we have to train our people that the expectation is that they come to work with their hair, combed or brushed, fixed, their face washed, clean clothes, clean nails, clean shoes. Crazy, but true. And the thing is, if you have some people who seem to be on the struggle bus when it comes to that, just teach them, just mentor them, just coach them, train them, and make sure that they are clear on what the expectations in the workplace are. Again, if you're in leadership, that's your role. Do they understand what's considered appropriate dress for your organization? Are jeans allowed? Can you wear leggings? And if so, is a top required to cover the backside if they wear leggings? Is there a length limit for dresses and skirts, or the shirt, blouse, top restrictions? Are there any of those? Does the fabric of the clothes have to be completely opaque, or is a little see-through acceptable? And believe me, I'm just going to say this, be warned to anyone. I personally think that it is unprofessional if you have see-through clothing and you don't have some type of kind of a base garment to cover your undergarments, whether it's a t-shirt or a bra if you're a woman. But making sure that you look professional, you look that part. If you work in a highly professional environment that allows the occasional casual day, what does casual mean? What precisely is allowed and what isn't? Are you truly familiar with the dress code for your organization? Check with your HR person. If you don't know that, if you are the HR person, make sure your people know this. If you're in leadership and you're not HR, work with HR to make sure that your folks are getting the kind of education that they need to represent a good professional personal brand and reputation. And challenge your people. Ask them, are you dressing for the future success you hope for? Do the accessories that they wear accent or do they distract? And does their hygiene speak about respectability? These are some things to consider, when we talk about what professionalism and personal branding are. And, personal branding, when it comes to sounds, it's reflected in the sounds around us, what we listen to as well as what we say. What kind of music are we playing? What kind of conversations are we having with coworkers, peers, leaders, friends, family, on the phone, in person, on Zoom or team meetings or some other kind of video platform? How are we speaking to our customers, clients, and vendors? Words have the power to harm or to heal depending on how we wield them. So we want to make sure that what we say is true, noble, trustworthy, kind, patient, and fair. How we speak of others behind their back is a direct reflection of who we are. So be careful about what you say to other people. Our personal branding is often not considered when it comes to what we listen to, but even if we never say a word, if we are listening to gossip, we can appear complicit or condoning of it. The same with crass or degrading jokes or derogatory comments or other inappropriate verbiage that someone else is using. Be careful, because the sounds may not be coming out of your mouth, but if it appears as if you're going along, it can have a negative effect on your personal brand. And all it takes is standing within earshot to portray the image of participation. If you begin to feel uncomfortable or recognize another person's statements are out of line, don't stand there and fight embarrassment. Excuse yourself. Find some reason that you have to step away. We don't have to speak to appear as if we are aligned with foolish or dangerous perspectives. So just keep that in mind when it comes to your personal brand. And make sure that you don't dominate conversations. If your personal brand is you're coming across as someone who's constantly interrupting or one-upping someone else's story, that can be a very negative branding situation. So you want to exercise intentionality and start to turn that around. And let me just give this as a warning tip. And if you're in a leadership position, the odds are probably pretty high that you're not going to fall in this category. You might, but more so it may be some of your people. But for yourself and for others, please remind, train, mentor, coach on this. Never, ever, never call customers, clients, vendors, coworkers, peers, or other leaders endearing terms like sweetie, sweetheart, honey, dear, babe, etc. Those monikers are meant for your home life and those people you're in close personal relationships with. No one wants to feel condescended or talked down to, especially a mature person by someone younger. So make sure that you keep your tone and your words respectful. That is something that's always going to lend to a positive personal brand. I cover all of these areas and then so much more in an ebook, and I have an accompanying workbook that goes along with it too, on personal branding at work. And so if that's something that you're interested in, again, especially if you're in HR leadership, I encourage you to go to my store at anitabrooks.com and you can find the ebooks and workbooks there. But I'm just so passionate that we become more and more aware of what we're projecting out in the world. We need to be considerate and in tune with how other people are seeing us. And if we don't express clear expectations, then we're destined for conflict. So we need to understand, what is the personal brand that I want to project? How do I want other people to see me at work? What are the changes that I can and should make? And then be bold in making those changes. Be intentional. Be resolute. Because freedom lies in being bold in that kind of a way. In making sure that what we communicate, how we look, the attitudes, the actions, the behaviors are lending to a productive, positive, and healthy personal brand. I love what Tim Ferriss says. He says, focus on being productive instead of busy. And that's another branding perspective that we should take on and that we should share with other people. I talked about the promises. Another favorite for me is just to remind people that in a world of broken promises, we can dare to be different. We can be dependable, reliable, trustworthy, and we can stay true to our word, and we can stand apart, and our personal brand can be even more emphasized because we make that kind of commitment to ourselves, to others, and to our work. And just remember, branding isn't as much about what you make people see as about what you make people feel. Your personal brand follows you wherever you go, and sometimes it even lingers behind you when you leave a room. And so think about that and ask yourself, what does your personal brand say? If you're leading people and you can see that their personal brand is weakened or being weakened, then what can you do to come alongside and support, hold them accountable in a healthy way, in an uplifting way, instead of a beating them down way? Show them the way to change and alter their personal brand so it gets the results that they and you want. It's not only going to help them, it's not only going to relieve some of the stress and tension maybe that you're carrying, but it's also going to help your company. Because each of us, that personal brand that we wear, it impacts how other people see us. So again, exceptional leader, make this the day that you commit to taking the culture of your workplace to a higher level by exemplifying a strong, powerful, positive personal brand, and then challenging your people to do the same themselves. Every single day, every decision you make, every word you speak, every time you project body language or facial expression, you are saying something about your personal brand. And you're saying something about whether other people can trust, know, like doing business with you. So keep it in mind and start fresh today. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Exceptional Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Anita Brooks. And I just want to remind you of a truth. If you are not leading at the level that you want to be at, remember, it is never too late for a fresh start with fresh faith. You can start today. You can start making a difference. You can help the world become a better place. You can begin to lead with intent. Your family, your friends, the people you work with, your community, in your church, in our nation, across the planet. Whatever opportunities come your way, remember that did not happen by accident. And by stepping up and leading exceptionally well, you will help fulfill the purpose you were created for.